Welcome back to the latest episode of the Tourism AI podcast. I'm Emily, and I am joining Peter today, our founder of the Tourism AI Network, for our latest episode. Peter, we've got a new format. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, we're quite excited to introduce a new format to our show today. So what we've decided to do is step up our content overall at the Tourism AI Network. We're sort of at that place where it's time. And to that end, we're going to also step up our podcasting. So we're going to move to a weekly format. And really what we're going to do is we're going to just dive into the headlines in terms of what's happening in the AI space. And we're going to break it down a little bit in terms of what it means for tourism. So the goal really here is to just sort of distill what's happening in the space, make it really digestible for people in the tourism industry, 30 minutes or less. So, folks can basically wait once a week, sort of just listen in, keep up with what's going on because it is quite overwhelming out there. I spend a lot of time in this space. I spend a lot of time researching and sort of paying attention to what's going on in the space, which I'm sure many tourism professionals are doing as well. But really, we're just going to try to break down that news in context of tourism and why it matters to tourism professionals. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of pick 3 or 4 stories a week, 3 or 4 top headlines, and we're just going to kind of talk about it, distill it. So really, this podcast is good for anybody working in destination marketing, tour operators, tech enthusiasts, anybody in the tourism sector that's paying attention to the AI space. So yeah, why don't we give it a shot? This is our first episode. Let's dive in and see how we do.
Right on. Okay. Well, I think the first thing that we're going to talk about is the ever evolving landscape of data and AI. We've spoken before on the podcast about how important keeping your data safe, clean, and ready to go is. So recently, what we've seen is a groundbreaking partnership between News Corp and OpenAI, highlighting the strategic importance of licensing deals and content partnerships. So this is a pretty significant shift for DMOs, destination marketing organizations, as obviously you folks work with a lot of data, but also untapped data. So just hoping, Peter, you can tell us a little bit about how DMOs can really use this new feature of OpenAI and tap into that. So can you first, just to start us off, explain the significance of this partnership?
For sure, yeah. So, I mean, I think it's not news to anybody that OpenAI has been involved with a lot of lawsuits with a lot of publishers out there for alleged use of copyrighted data to train training models. Now, it's really interesting when you listen to OpenAI talk about their new models and how they train them. And actually, I feel like they took some effort ahead of ChatGPT-4o, which was announced, which we'll talk about in our next story, to talk about the fact that every time they release a new model, they train it from scratch. They train it from the beginning from new. So I feel like that's them trying to get ahead a little bit of some of the lawsuits that they're involved with. Probably by the time those lawsuits get resolved, there'll be 2 or 3 models forward. And so, it won't be relevant anymore, maybe that they trained on copyrighted data. However, they don't want to be training on copyrighted data. I think it's clear. And I think that OpenAI and Google and a lot of these frontier models have a huge interest in making sure that the data they train on is, first of all, high quality, but also they have permission to use that data. And so this partnership between News Corp and OpenAI really is a pretty significant partnership. It's a pretty landmark agreement. And really, they're going to be training on News Corp's copyrighted data, obviously, but News Corp is going to be receiving a licensing fee they got a licensing deal as a result. So I've been talking about this a lot to destinations. I've been talking a lot to different organizations in the tourism space because I think that this is a really interesting path forward for the tourism industry, for DMOs specifically. I think about organizations like indigenous tourism organizations, and even quite frankly any indigenous organization in Canada. Really anybody who has data that is, one, hard to find, two, high quality. I think there's an opportunity to come together as a community and come to OpenAI or come to Google or come to these different frontier model developers and basically say, hey, look, we got some great data here. You want accurate, up-to-date information? We have it. DMOs have spent a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort getting their websites to a place, getting their information about their destinations to a place. So who better to partner with in order to make sure that these frontier models have the best information about destinations than destination management or destination marketing organizations. So, my pitch to DMOs is let's get together, let's partner up, and let's come collectively to OpenAI with a proposal. And I've started that process already a little bit. in terms of just understanding what that looks like. So, I'm going to be starting to talk to some of my DMO partners about the next steps.
Right on. That's pretty incredible, actually. It sounds like they'll be, able to leverage their own data through those similar partnerships. So I just want to be clear for anybody listening. News Corp is the owner of publications such as the New York Times, the Post. So those are some of their publications that you might be familiar with, just in case you didn't know who News Corp actually was. Peter, I'm hoping you can tell us, you've kind of touched on this a little bit, but maybe you can dive into a little bit more. How can DMOs actually leverage their data through similar partnerships?
Yeah, and let me be clear, first of all, that there are no guarantees that we will be successful in actually leveraging our data to get partnerships, but I think we need to make the effort. So, I mean, basically, the concept is DMOs are sitting on a lot of very rich, really high quality data. They are the 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 best providers of data when it comes to a destination. And so I think we need to come together as an industry. We need to collaborate, and we need to come as with a collective voice to a company like OpenAI or a company like Google or Anthropic or whatever, and say, hey, listen, we have a lot of really good data. Let's make a deal. That's what it comes down to. And there are some precedents of this happening in other parts of the world. So I think in Ireland, I believe in Dublin, OpenAI has created a partnership already with the Dublin Tourism Board, or tourism organization. I'm not sure exactly what their organization's called, and it's around this concept. And I know, NVIDIA's CEO actually. So NVIDIA is the company that makes the chips that power the AI revolution, and he talks a lot. The CEO Jensen Huang talks a lot about this concept of sovereign AI, and this is really when companies or when countries start to sort of adopt AI from a strategic and a cultural perspective. And I think that our DMOs and our indigenous tourism organizations and these organizations have a lot to offer when it comes to making sure that these large language models are trained on culturally appropriate, historically accurate, high quality information. And so it's just my belief that we have a lot to offer to these large language models, but it's not going to work if just individual DMOs start to go willy-nilly all over to these companies and try to make individual deals. I think we're too small. I think we need to at least think about it maybe from a provincial perspective, maybe to start, possibly from a national perspective, certainly from an indigenous tourism perspective. So, my pitch to DMOs is let's get together, talk, and collaborate first, and then let's take a collective voice to these large language model providers, to these channels, and let's basically come with a bit of a sense of what we have to offer together.
Nice. It sounds like, we'd be able to kind of put the human back in AI through some of these partnerships. So that would be really. Tell me about what the role the Tourism AI Network can play in facilitating these partnerships.
For sure. So, I mean, I think, so first of all, I've done a lot of research in this field already. I'm personally passionate about this. I think this is the only way forward. And so, we can really act as a facilitator. We can act as the go-between. We could do a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the work. And, in terms of, for example, some of the work I've done already, I've reached out to OpenAI on this already. I had somebody send me some information about what kind of data, what they're looking for. So they have a system and a process, OpenAI specifically. I haven't gone to Google and others yet, but that's something I can do. But I've gone to OpenAI, and they basically have, here's what we're looking for, here's what the data needs to be like, here's the formats it needs to be like. So there's a lot of work in the background that needs to happen. And OpenAI won't entertain your partnership, necessarily unless you're sort of ready to go with your data, right? It's not, they're a busy company. So we got some homework to do on our end. And I think it's, somebody like myself or somebody like the Tourism AI Network can really take a leadership role in helping to organize this data, helping to bring DMOs together, potentially through a collaboration or a partnership with a provincial DMO. I think personally, starting provincially is a good way to go, and developing a bit of a framework that other provinces can then follow. So I'm having these conversations actively. I know DMOs are busy. I know provincial associations are busy, but this is what I'm here to do. And so I'm trying to lead the charge, and I can help facilitate, and then I can sort of get out of the way when the right time happens.
I love that. That's very cool. It sounds like Peter and the Tourism AI Network are going to be big facilitators in the provincial tourism space, not just here in Alberta. So love that you're setting standards. Look, taking a step back, can you tell us how licensing deals benefit the whole tourism industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious thing. First of all of these, companies, all these AI companies they want to have ethical and fair use of data. I don't think they want to be tied up in lawsuits. And certainly the tourism industry has just great data. I mean, honestly, I don't think there's any organization in the world that has better data on a destination. And at the end of the day, when it comes to, if we think forward a little bit in the future of travel and the future of tourism, you know, AI is going to play a major role in the tourism experience going forward. I think that my prediction is that tourism is going to actually be a leading industry when it comes to AI, only because tourists are going to be the ones that are going to be driving AI usage when it comes to tourists. So, I look forward, actually don't even really look forward. It's like we live in a world today where I'm a tourist and I can take pictures of things and start to get my own sort of personal tour guide on sort of what I'm looking at and give me the history, give me the significance, all that kind of stuff. We could do that today. And so this is going to majorly transform the tourism industry. And so in order for that to be a successful implementation, these large language models have to have accurate, up-to-date information, historically, relevant, culturally relevant, unbiased information. So these are all things that the tourism industry works really, really hard to do and provide in the data that they create. And so I just see these partnerships. One, obviously, there's an opportunity for the tourism industry to get paid for all of the amazing content that they create, and they spend a lot of time making sure is accurate and all the things. And two, I think that this really can drive really enhanced tourism experiences, which ultimately is what we're here and what we're all about in the tourism space.
Absolutely. I think tourism is an industry that can tell us a lot about user behavior as well.
Yeah.
So there's that data as well. So lots to leverage. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So our next story, we're going to hop right into the next one. It takes us into the world of cutting edge AI technology with OpenAI's latest advancements. You've probably heard about it, GPT-4o. So it's making waves across industries, including tourism. With enhanced capabilities, the new AI model is set to transform how tourism businesses operate and engage with travelers. So tell us, Peter, what are some of the newest key features of 4o that we haven't necessarily seen before?
Yeah, I mean, so for ChatGPT 4o is a pretty exciting and frontier model. I mean, credit to ChatGPT or credit to OpenAI, I guess. They've been really at the forefront, at the leading edge of the LLM space. And so really what they rolled out is pretty transformative for the industry. So I think, first of all, for tourism professionals, what matters the most, in my opinion, is all of a sudden ChatGPT 4 type capabilities and features are now free. Now, I still recommend that people actually pay the subscription if they're working in tourism. And the reason for that is because there's more enhanced data protection in the paid features. You get more like higher limits in terms of usage, those types of things. So, but now we get a pretty powerful out of the box model for the tourism industry to use. And, one of the things I ask about when I speak at conferences all the time is who's using, AI tools like ChatGPT. Most people put their hands up. And then I ask who's using a paid model. This was, before 4o came out, and most people, put their hand down. And so most people were using, sort of a ChatGPT 3.5 model, which is nowhere near like you're not using AI if you're using ChatGPT 3.5 in the same sense as you're using AI when you're using ChatGPT 4 previously and now ChatGPT 4o. So, a lot of power all of a sudden in your hands for free. But more importantly, the multimodal capabilities that they introduced are just unbelievable. Like they're really amazing. So, you can basically, first of all, talk to your AI in real time, have conversations, interrupt it. You can show it things in real time and ask it what you're looking at, give it, get feedback. You can it's multimodal natively. And these features haven't quite rolled out yet. But again, people that are on the paid subscriptions are going to get access to these features first. And so, I mean, it's pretty seamless interaction with all modes of communication, which is a game changer in the tourism industry. Okay, again, imagine a tourist walking around with their phone and asking, in real time what they're looking at and getting information and that type of thing. I mean, it's pretty powerful stuff when you think about the travel experience, but it's also pretty powerful if you think about the tourism provider experience. You know, improved reasoning and response times, so it's much faster. And the reasoning is better. So, you know, you just get more accurate and more relevant information faster, which is pretty awesome. And so again, it's kind of dynamic, you know, industries like tourism where things are happening pretty dynamically, to have a tool that can work so fast and be so accurate is pretty amazing. You know, the voice assistant is really cool. I mean, it's amazing. So again, this isn't quite available yet, but you know, they're talking about things like having a voice assistant on a desktop app where you can literally be working on your desktop and be talking to your chat GP and getting help with what you're doing. So imagine you're working on an Excel file and you don't know how to make a pivot table, or you don't know how to, you know, make something happen, and you just ask you literally show your GTP what you're working on, and it helps you through your process or whatever. It helps you solve your problem. I mean, that's a major unlock, I think, from a productivity perspective, you know, for people working in the tourism space. So, you know, to me, that means, you know, less time in the office, more time with visitors, more time providing tourism experiences for the end customers. So, I mean, those are just sort of some of the high level features. There are quite a few, and you know, things are going to be rolling out in the next little while. So it's gonna, I feel like for me, ChatGPT 4o, once some of these updates get rolled out, it's going to start to really make AI feel real for people. I think up until now, it's been, again, a lot of people on these free versions that are okay, not many people experiencing the real power of AI. All of a sudden, now it's free. Everybody's going to have access to it. And I think it's going to blow people's minds, to be honest with you.
No doubt. I believe that 100%. I remember I was a little bit skeptical when we took the jump from 3.5 to 4, obviously using a paid model, but the difference is huge, and even in 4.0 as well. Before we head into the next question, I just want to make note, whether it was intentional or not, OpenAI is doing an incredible job of actually increasing accessibility in terms of making 4.0 free for everybody. There's a number of different reasons. I think they're extremely accessible, but that's one of them. Even the response that you got, you know, it seems like it's a pretty big operation over there, but you know, you still heard back on potentially having a partnership, and that's amazing. But I think in the tourism space, there's an opportunity for accessibility in terms of, you know, some of the features you just noted, in terms of it's going to talk to you. So imagine, you know, you've got a blind friend or a blind relative. You can now bring them to a tourism destination and have them experience it with you, even though they may not be able to see it. So incredible stuff.
In like 50 different languages, by the way.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
not only that, so you can literally be, you know, imagine an experience in the future where, you know, you're speaking to a server at a restaurant or whatever, and you don't speak the language, and you're basically communicating through one of these tools in real time, and you're showing it the menu in English, and it's translating it to you in Spanish or whatever language you speak. I mean, that is incredibly powerful technology from a traveler's perspective, and it really, from a tourism operator perspective, actually, in my opinion, takes a lot of heavy lifting off tourism operators and DMOs, because all of a sudden now, you know, you have literally these powerful tools that travelers can use in like 50 different languages. And so, you know, eliminates, to your point, it reduces a lot of barriers for travelers and for tourists. So I think it has the opportunity to really open up the world for the tourism industry and make travel way more accessible and way more desirable for people who maybe, you know, are a little bit scared to get out and go somewhere new because they don't speak the language and those types of things, right?
100%. It's a really neat development, I think, across the globe,
Yeah,
for people to watch and be a part of. So
totally. Yeah.
on that note, can you give us some examples of how GPT-4o is being utilized by tourism marketers in tourism marketing?
Sure. Yeah. So for sure. So certainly content creation and marketing. I mean, so first of all, with 4.0, you now have access to a lot of the features that ChatGPT 4 Turbo had. So for example, custom GTPs. So for those who don't know, custom GTPs are sort of tools within the ChatGPT environment where you can kind of train them on your data and have them do specific things. So for example, if I'm a you know, a tourism operator and I have some language that I like to use to describe my operations and to describe what I do, if I have some brand guides, if I have some, you know, former, you know, some blogs that I've written in the past, all of a sudden now you can train a custom G on that kind of information so that you can basically create consistent, you know, outputs and consistent marketing content. That's a really powerful tool now that all of a sudden, you know, almost anybody can create sort of consistent marketing copy at scale that sounds and feels like your brand, right? So that's just one small example. And certainly, there are many more. I mean, one of the use cases that I always tell people to use ChatGPT for is ideation and creative thinking. And now all of a sudden, again, people have this really enhanced reasoning capabilities at their fingertips for free. So this is a major game changer for like small businesses, small operators that have limited resources. Now all of a sudden have, I say it's sort of Einstein level genius. Imagine you had 10 Einsteins all of a sudden working for your company doing various things. Well, you can create literally GTPs, and each GTP has a very specific function, to help you, for example, in marketing, help you in social media copywriting, help you in, customer service, et cetera, et cetera. And we're just talking right now about what I call out of the box AI, which is literally just the app as it is. We're not talking about, never mind enhanced abilities when you build on top of tools like ChatGPT 4o, and you connect with an API. I mean, talk about customer service, you talk about all kinds of things. It's really actually amazing what it opens up, especially I think for small businesses, they have a really big opportunity to leap forward and be really competitive against bigger brands.
I agree. I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and I'm only going to ask you to build on that a little bit more. Tell us about the benefits that using AI tools like 4o. We're going to talk about a couple other ones, I think, in a minute here, but what are the benefits for travelers and tourism businesses?
Yeah, so certainly for travelers, I mean, imagine again, really personalized customer service experiences. So imagine, you have, your let's just say your website powered on the back end through an API with a feature like or with a tool like ChatGPT 4o. And all of a sudden, now they can interact with your website in real time, and they can ask questions and they can get answers. It's pretty amazing, right? And from a destination perspective, again, imagine your destination's information is really up to date and it's really good, and tourists can walk around and they can literally take pictures or use videos and show what they're looking at and ask questions. What's the historic, what is the history of this place? What is the significance of that? What tell me about the statue? Those types of things. I mean, pretty amazing experience from the tourist perspective, and from the the tourism business perspective, the DMO perspective. I mean, this just brings incredible power, incredible scale to your operations, and allows you to just do things you just never were able to do, right? So, imagine things like museums, tourist attractions, and travel agencies using it to create interactive guides, virtual tours, providing, detailed and engaging content in various formats because it's multimodal. So now you can go away from, you can get really quickly get into sort of, multimodal tourism experiences, so, you can do some amazing things, right? Operational efficiencies, so you can use these tools also to optimize booking systems, manage customer feedback, predict travel trends, things like that. So, I mean, you just need to really, your imagination is the only limit in terms of what you can do with some of these tools.
No doubt, especially with all that data we were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Peter. We are going to jump over to Google now because Google just released a ton of different updates. I think there were over 100, Peter, you noted, obviously, especially in AI, but a little bit in search too, but we'll kind of jump on that. So these are going to have a huge impact on the tourism industry, from predictive analytics to enhanced mobile experiences. What are some of the major AI updates from Google I/O 2024 that are relevant to the tourism sector?
Yeah, so to your point, there was a lot, and I'm going to be honest with you, it's kind of hard for me to even get my head around Google's updates. And what I'll say about Google's updates compared to, say, ChatGPT's updates is that, to ChatGPT's credit, they rolled out some things right away to everybody, whereas Google's updates were a little bit more, let's just say, because they were sort of marketing videos. So they're a little bit, they still have a lot to roll out. So, the caveat here is most of this stuff isn't available yet. But a couple of things. So first of all, they have now Gemini 1.5 Flash and Pro models, which are faster, improve performance. So sort of they can kind of handle more. The big thing about Google is what's called context windows. So they have the biggest context window in the AI space. So context windows are basically just conceptually the amount of data you can put in order to get accurate answers coming out. So, Google has a 1 million token context window. So you can put a lot of information into Google as a tourism operator in terms of your training it on your own data and get really accurate responses. So that's really, exciting. I think that all of the major providers are going to sort of improve that. Context windows is going to be a major competitive space for sure. But, there's things like audio overviews for Notebook LM. So this creates verbal discussions for uploaded materials, allowing tour operators to generate personalized audio guides for visitors based on specific interests. That's just one kind of example of things coming. Google search really, I think, was probably the biggest change and quite frankly, the biggest disruptor. So to be determined how all of Google's search features are going to kind of roll out and what they're going to mean for the tourism industry. But, they've introduced or they're introducing AI overviews in search. So basically what this is, kind of you ask a question and you basically get an AI generated answer. So we're moving away from the sort of the 10 blue links or the blue links kind of concept where you have to do your own searching, start to, research websites. You're just going to get answers, right? And so, there's a lot of people in the SEO space and the digital marketing space that are pretty concerned about what's going to happen to traffic. I interestingly listened to a podcast with Sundar Pichai, the head of Google, yesterday, and he's basically talked about the fact that actually in their experimentation, these AI overviews, because it provides the overview, but there's still a link that you can sort of go and search. It's just really a place to start your search experience. He's convinced that actually websites are going to get more traffic as a result of this. There's going to be more search happening, to be determined. But the search stuff is pretty impactful. And so, for example, you ask Google for information on where to go, what to do, tell me about this, tell me about that. They're just going to get answers, right? So that's going to be pretty impactful, right? And then also generative AI in search is something that was released. So it's going to organize search results into AI generated categories like dining and hotels, helping tourists more efficiently find the information they're looking for. So Google's entire interface on the search is going to change, and I think it's going to become a better user experience. And certainly, we know that Google is a major way that tourists interact with the environment they're in. So it's going to be pretty big. There's also Imagen 3 model, which is Google's highest quality image generation model. So it's going to be pretty impactful for marketing campaigns. Tourism businesses are going to be able to use this new feature to do some pretty amazing stuff in terms of designing graphics, designing content. And then similarly, they have a video generation model, which is a really, really high quality video generation tool using AI that it's just going to make video generation a lot cheaper for the tourism sector, right? So I mean, I think we're moving very quickly to a world where marketing is going to become very easy for tourism organizations, for the tourism industry, and as we know, our industry, marketing is huge, right? It's a major part of what we do, and there's one more experimental feature that's been announced is Ask Photos and Google Photos. So it highlights galleries from trips, generates personalized captions, making it easier for tourists to document and share their experiences on social media. So again, these things are being rolled out, but all of a sudden, tourists are going to be able to sort of like post all their photos and sort of basically like tell amazing stories about their travel experiences and post them on social media, which obviously from a tourism perspective, it's going to be something we're going to have to get our heads around in terms of, okay, well, how do we leverage this now? People, talking about their amazing experiences and photos and sharing all of that and being able to, provide basically, captioned sort of storytelling, if you will, about their experiences. So, again, a lot is going to be to be determined because this stuff is just rolling out, but a lot of exciting stuff from Google for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Lots of use cases there for operators, DMOs, travelers. And I know that's only the tip of the iceberg. So stay tuned, everybody, and watch for those Google features as they roll out. How do these updates enhance the capabilities of tourism businesses specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly improving targeting is going to be really good, and personalization in marketing is going to be something that's going to become easier. Obviously, enhancing virtual and augmented reality experiences for tourists. I there's a lot of debate in the AI space and the digital marketing space about where Google's at. Are they behind? Are they going to get left behind? And I would never count Google out. Google is a massive company with a very broad set of tools. And really, I think their approach is rather than trying to be first or the frontier model, they're trying to roll out AI across their entire enterprise. And so this is a really great opportunity, I think, for, certainly if you're a business on Google, you're going to see some amazing enhanced capabilities and features right across your entire technology stack. If you're a traveler and a tourist, I think that if they really nail their Google experience, their user experience on Google, people are going to continue to use Google, right? It
Yeah.
is still the dominant search engine. It is still where people go. And so all of these different features and capabilities are just going to make it a better experience for the tourist. Certainly a lot of tools for the tourism operators and for the DMOs. So I think that we're going to have this like major resurgence in creativity, major resurgence in just the way tourists sort of market themselves and talk about themselves, and a lot of really personalized experiences for the tourists themselves.
Nice. It sounds like it's going to be a lot more fun for everybody involved, whether you're sitting on the either side of the desk there. So that's exciting to see.
I think so.
Let's flip the script just a little bit. What are the challenges that the tourism industry might see with some of these updates?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of challenges. First of all, again, you have to have good data as a starting point. And so, if you're in the tourism space and you don't have good data, you don't have good information, you don't use technology well, you're going to get left behind pretty quickly. And so I think, my encouragement to everybody in the tourism space is really start paying attention, really start thinking about your digital transformation, really start thinking as an organization, how can we sort of become AI enabled as quickly as possible and figure out how to get in front of this stuff. So I keep telling everybody that AI is going to brings great promise when it comes to improving all of our efficiency and making our work better, but it's going to make it worse before it gets better. So there's a lot of hard work and heavy lifting to do before we get there, right? And so, and there's needs to be, sort of existing infrastructure needs to be bolstered and updated. Certainly in rural areas where there's not good internet connectivity, I think a lot of these features are just going to be sort of not available to people. And so that's going to be a problem, as obviously. So there's going to be a major discrepancy for the tourist in terms of their user experience when it comes to being in major cities versus being in really rural areas. So when I talk about bolstering infrastructure, it's even making sure we have good, strong internet everywhere. So let's just say you're a ranch or something like that, and you have whatever, and you want tourists to have these experiences, you need to make sure that you have internet connectivity right across your entire property, as an example, right? But some data privacy issues, certainly some security issues. Some of this stuff is kind of creepy, and it's a little bit creepy in terms of how much these tools can sort of know about us and sort of pay attention to what we're doing. And so some people, I think, will be a little bit uncomfortable with that. But overall, I think that net for the industry is going to be very positive, and there's going to be, I think, a lot of opportunities for some really cool stuff.
Right on. What I will say is, to your point about it getting a little bit, not worse, but a little bit more challenging before it gets better, is give yourself grace, but also get ahead of the curve, start playing around with these tools now. Obviously, you don't have to make it part of the mainstream of your everyday yet, but just see how they all work. And obviously, if you need any help, we are here at the Tourism AI Network to give you a hand.
Yeah.
All right, we are gonna head into our last story. It's the final of what I will call the big three. We are going to talk about Microsoft's Build conference. So this year's announcements have been particularly exciting, especially for the tourism industry. We've got AI-powered laptops, conversational websites. The innovations are going to revolutionize how the tourism industry and professionals operate and engage with travelers, customers, you name it. So again, Peter, start us off. What were the key announcements kind of at Microsoft's Build conference?
Yeah, I mean, there were many, again, so I'm not going to get into a lot of the details, but a couple things that excited me, and Emily, please put these in the show, please put this video in the show notes. But I mean, they basically showcased this website, this conversational website. And so really now this is taking, for those who don't know or who are not aware, Microsoft is a major shareholder in OpenAI. So they are 49% owner of OpenAI. And so there's been a lot of conversation in the AI space about the partnership, and is it a sound partnership? Because Microsoft's been doing their own stuff and creating other partnerships. And I think that what the Build conference really showed us is just how integrated and how important the partnership is between Microsoft and OpenAI. Because my impression of what they showed was really some of ChatGPT-4o's capabilities inside of Microsoft's products. And so, certainly they introduced this concept of an AI powered laptop, or their new AI powered laptop, which is, according to them, the fastest and most powerful AI powered laptop now that exists on the planet. And it's really cool. I mean, it really allows some amazing things to happen. So now you have within your sort of Microsoft tools, within your laptop, all of a sudden these AI tools that are baked right in, basically. So instead of having ChatGPT on the outside sort of helping you with respect to that pivot table we talked about, it's built right into your Excel, right? So that Copilot enhancements as a result of this from Microsoft Copilot, they're becoming real. You know what I mean? But what excited me most about this announcement was this conversational website concept. So they have a video essentially, and it's actually a tourism video where they show somebody who's planning to go on a hike, and they're talking to a website, and they're showing literally the camera a shoe that they're going to wear, and the AI in the background is basically talking to the person right on the website and saying, no, that shoe is not going to work for the type of hike. It's too cold outside. You need this type of shoe. And then they literally put the shoe that they recommend him buying right into the shopping cart, and then basically, you know what I mean? So like, that is really incredible stuff. So this is really taking OpenAI's 4o announcement and bringing it to life inside Microsoft products, and sort of showing you the future of the web. And from a tourism perspective, man, that is exciting. That future of the web stuff. Again, imagine you have a website, a tourism website, and people can literally have a conversation in real time, show it stuff. Imagine you're going to go, we have a client, for example, Eagle Nook Resort, a sport fishing company. And imagine you're planning to go on your sport fishing trip, and you're literally talking to the website, and you're showing it equipment, and you're showing it the gear you're planning to bring, and it's interacting with you, telling you yes, no, looking at the forecast, telling you, oh yeah, no, it's going to be great weather, so I think that's going to work. I mean, that is like, from a tourism experience perspective, like really next level kind of stuff. So it's pretty exciting. I think it's really exciting. Again, this is sort of marketing promotional videos for now, but it really gives us a sense as to where things are going, right? And sort of the direction that we're going to see the future of the web go. So pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. And things like that, where it's kind of those extras, those nice to haves, those really put you ahead of your competitors. So that's really going to change the game, I think. And obviously, especially in a space like fishing, where you got to kind of fine tune your style and figure out what gear you want to use to catch the biggest fish. It'd be really fun, I think, too. Tell me more about this laptop. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so again, I don't know a lot of details about it, but it basically enhances Microsoft Copilot. So if you're a Microsoft user, all of a sudden now you have a laptop, obviously that's built with Microsoft's suite of products, and then it has a whole bunch of amazing capabilities. So essentially, it's just the power of AI built right into your laptop. Super fast processing. It can, see what you're doing in real time. It can correct you. It can help you. You can have conversations with it. We're really moving to a new world when it comes to AI and computing and the way we interact with technology, which is really going to voice and multimodal. So, the overall thing I'll say about not only Microsoft's laptop announcement, but really all of these announcements, is we're now fully into a multimodal world, or an omni-channel world, right? So now all of a sudden, voice, video, we're no longer just text. And so again, for me, as a dyslexic, it's really exciting to be able to just, have a laptop where I can just talk to my, hey, go grab this file and do this and create this and do that all verbally. I mean, that is pretty amazing stuff. So again, from a a tourism operator perspective, from a destination perspective, just imagine how efficient you can be, and how much less tired you're going to be, and how much more time you're going to be able to spend with your travelers, providing great experiences, if you have tools like this that you can literally just talk to, get them to do stuff, and move on, right? No longer, if you're a small business, you're no longer like, geez, I don't know how to do this, and now you're stuck, and now something doesn't move forward. It's just like, you talk to your AI, you get the help you need, you solve the problem, you move on, right? So I mean, I think it's just like incredible. I think the whole world of computing is getting very exciting, and Microsoft's laptop just sort of showed us the beginnings of that. I'm sort of kind of want to get one personally myself.
Awesome. It sounds like the days of Excel confusion might be over, because we can just ask it to complete whatever function we need instead of having to
Totally.
mess around with it for several minutes. Awesome. Okay. And then you've kind of touched on the conversational website a bit. It sounds like it's going to change the game for us in terms of websites, information, understanding, tourism experiences. How is that going to affect tourism marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to make it faster, better, more streamlined, easier, more efficient, right? I mean, all of the above. I mean, I often start a lot of my presentations with a quote from Sam Altman, who was asked on a marketing podcast about, what's going to happen to marketing when AGI comes in. So for those who don't know, AGI stands for artificial general intelligence. So that's a point at which, again, it's not a term that's necessarily well defined, but it's loosely defined as a point at which artificial intelligence becomes generally sort of more capable than humans across most things. And he sort of says, well, 95% of what marketers do will be handled instantaneously at almost no cost by AI, right? That's not the exact quote, but roughly what he said. And so while we're not at AGI, we're starting to get some capabilities from a marketing perspective that make that a reality, the reality, right? So from a marketing perspective in the tourism space, the efficiency of being able to do things, campaigns, integrating and rolling things out and sort of testing them and iterating as you go. I mean, we're just going to be able to be so dynamic in the marketing space. We're going to be able to do so much more with so much less. And really, I think we're going to see it's really an exciting time for marketing in the tourism space. And I think we're going to see some really exciting marketing campaigns, some really innovative kind of stuff for those who actually embrace this technology. And so, again, I think the overall message here today's podcast is like, start playing with AI because stuff is changing really fast and it's going to make your job better and easier, but it's also going to make you stand out if you are ahead of the curve, right? So yeah, it's pretty exciting time.
Totally. Yeah. Don't sleep on the AI, folks. Even if you're not going to begin using all the features tomorrow, give it a go. Peter, tell us a little bit about Microsoft's new multimodal features. How are those going to integrate into the tourism technology stack?
Yeah, I mean, so again, similarly, I mean, this is basically what we've been talking about really for this entire podcast. But again, imagine, you have, written content, you have SOPs, you have Q&As, right? So you have FAQs, things like that. So, all of the questions that you get asked by your customers over and over and over again, all of a sudden you can feed those into your machine, and now you can have some voice capability answering people's questions, right? So people aren't going to have to read anymore. They're just going to be able to talk to your website or talk to your your app or whatever, wherever whatever way that they talk to your tourism organization online. And we're just going to be able to do this again in a multimodal way. So it'll be voice, it'll be video, it'll be photos. So I think this website is just an example, but you can create these amazing tourism experiences all of a sudden, multimodal tourism experiences various different ways, right? So it could be even things like, sort of, let's just say somebody books a tourism experience with you and, you send them an email back and people have the ability with that email to, get questions answered and things like that, right? And you'll be able to do that in a very multimodal way, which is pretty exciting. And again, multiple languages. And so it just opens up the world for tourists in new ways that are pretty exciting.
That is amazing. And honestly, this whole conversation sounds like we're kind of seeing really nice linkages between, new tech, obviously the use of AI, but also keeping the human involved. And that's really the ultimate goal, I think, here is making sure that finding those synergies between tech and people. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think it's an exciting time for tourism. And I think that the people that work in the tourism space that sort of figure out ways to leverage this and sort of get on top of it are going to have a major advantage in terms of providing really unique experiences. And just think about it from a guerrilla marketing perspective. Imagine you have one of these sort of multimodal AI assistants that can help a tourist with their tourism experience. Imagine just if somebody has that experience, the amount of talking and telling their friends they're going to do if you're early, right? You're going to stand out. You're going to get a lot of verbal word of mouth kind of excitement for what you're doing. So I encourage everybody start diving in.
absolutely. People love a cool factor. Well, thank you, Peter, for kind of walking us through what happened in AI this week. I know I learned a lot and I think it's all very exciting. So you can catch us back here next week for next week's updates, and hope you'll subscribe to our podcast and check out the Tourism AI Network at tourismainetwork.com. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Tourism AI podcast. To learn more about the network or get involved, visit our website at tourismainetwork.com or find us on socials at Tourism AI Network. We'll see you there.